What's happening? I've got a little mental note. So basically, I have a friend right now, and she's going through depression. It's not just for her, it's for her, me, it's for everyone that's watching this video right now. Basically, the steps that I took to alleviate my depression when I was going through it, and hopefully it will help with not only just me in the future when I do get like that, and hopefully it helps her, and hopefully it helps all of you guys as well. Again, this is not like, like I'm not a trained psychologist, I'm not a trained psychiatrist or something. This is just like a little tactic that helps me when I go through my depression. When I went through my severely bad depression, it didn't take me to that sort of light until I actually made my own sort of CBT. So this kind of helps me. So if it helps any of you guys, just let me know, because obviously this is one good tactic that I've used, and I don't think anyone really uses it. Let me just explain to you my method to get yourself out of depression. Now, before I start, for people that have never been depressed or never had depression, right, let me just explain to you, right? Depression is a serious thing. It can really fuck up your day. It can really make you feel like you're completely worthless, like you cannot do anything. You don't want to get out of bed. You don't want to eat. You either lose a ton of weight, like saying for like my weight, or if you've got a few extra pounds and that, obviously it puts weight on. You're stressy, and it's just horrible. Like you smoke a ton, and it's just severely bad. Like mental health is widely underrated. Like, when you break your knee and the NHS are there and they basically like patch it up and then you'll sort it, but nothing really gets sorted out with mental health. And mental health is really something that people should not overlook. You can't just turn around to anybody and say it's okay with someone who has depression, because it's not. In their mind, it's a prison. It's absolutely horrible. It's absolutely terrifying. You think about acting on things that you wouldn't normally do when you're not in that situation. You feel like you got some mad thoughts going around in your head, and it's horrible, right? Just know, for depression, most people, if not everyone, goes through it, so you're not alone. So always remember that. Even when you think like, oh, I'm going through X, Y, and Z, no one's thinking like me, no one's feeling the way I do. People are out there, people know, people understand, right? If you want to reach out and get a friend to help you and them to work through the exercises because you're not, can't figure it out yourself, this is it. Like, don't stay in the shadows with it, especially you guys, right? Guys, men's mental health is really bad. Like, no one overlooks their mental health. Men get depressed too. Men have feelings, yeah? So it's not just about women, it's not just about kids. Senile guys, kids, men, all of you, like, yeah, you all have stresses, right? You all have stresses. Everyone goes through stress. Everyone goes through depression. So don't think you're being less of a man. You're inexperienced, or you're too high up for this. Mental health is a serious thing. Take it like you've got some sort of terminal illness, because it can ruin your goddamn life. So if you feel like you're depressed, get out there and fight that depression, because it's a real thing. Like, most people, if not everybody, would understand that if you've got depression, you need help, right? You need help. Get some help fast, because you can't live your life in depression anymore. It's bad. It's horrible. With that note out the way, what you want to do is answer these questions from order. So the first question is obviously, are you feeling depressed? Are you depressed right now? If you say yes, you go down this tree. And if you're not, then that's good. That's a good thing, Second question, how are you feeling right now? Are you feeling sad? Are you feeling lonely? Because there's different forms of depression. Remember that some people are depressed because they feel like they basically are not being seen, like they feel alone, like they're feeling isolated. Some people feel depressed because they're not achieving enough. Some people are just depressed because they've basically worn out all of their energies and their body's taking a toll. Whatever you're feeling, just ask, what are you feeling right now? Like, what sort of symptoms are you feeling? Actually engage. Don't hide away from your depression. Engage it. Understand it. Know why you're depressed. Know why you're feeling what you're feeling. So what are you feeling right now? You go through the NHS, go through every single symptom you've got right now and just lay it out. Even if you have to shout out, if you have to talk it out, just go for it and just say whatever you're feeling. Third question, when was the last time that you felt happiness, and what were you doing? If it's been a few months ago, if it's been a few weeks ago, then try to create like a little backlog. Try to make like a little record and keeping track of your mental health. That's an important thing, because then you can kind of backtrack on how you were feeling and feeling like why you're depressed. and what made you depressed in the first place. Now you want to talk about why you have depression. Is someone upset you? Is it because you're not actually gaining somewhere? Is it because you feel like you're isolated? Is it like whatever? Really think about this question, because this question is literally quite a big one, because it leads up to the next question I'm going to ask you. When you figured out them questions, next question I'm going to ask you, is there something that you can do right now to help you alleviate this depression? Is there something you can do right now to help what's going through your mind right now? You know, say if you fell out with someone, like it's upset you feel upset. Is there a way that you could mend bridges, or do you think you need enough space and time? That's good if you think, yeah, okay, we need a bit of time and space. So it's not something you can sort now. So that answer would be no. But can you also do something else that would help take your mind off what's going on? And the difference is, if you got something you can do to help with your depression, then go do it. But it has to be immediate, like right now, whilst you're feeling depressed. If you can't, and it's not like you can't because you don't want to. You can't because you physically can't. But there's a really good reason why you can't. And there's literally nothing you can do about it. And then you say no. Once you've acknowledged your depression, you've studied it, you've figured out the symptoms, you've figured out what's going wrong, and you figured out why. And then you figured out whether you can do something about it right now or not. Because this is where the magic happens. Because once you've done everything you can do, or if there wasn't anything you could do, and then the healing starts, because then you start to think, do you want to be depressed still? Do you still feel like you need more time to be depressed? If you do, alright, but don't do anything stupid. These steps, either you can just hang it out and literally go into depression, but you have to promise yourself you're not going to act on anything that goes up in here. And if you feel like you do, go to freaking sleep. Trust me, sleep is like an actual therapy. You know, it's sleep or taking a nap or anything like that. It shuts off your mind and it makes you rewire in the morning. You tend to forget things just a little bit, then you go back to it. And then once you've slept, and then ask your questions again. Or better yet, you can ask, do you still want to feel depressed, or do you want to be happy? If you want to be happy, this is where the healing starts, because you've now realized that you've answered your own questions like you're answering your own depression. Because you don't want to hide away from depression. Depression is an emotion. It's always going to be with you. You can't get rid of it. You have to work with it. That's just how it is. That's how I realized it. All this time I was trying to fight my depression, going, I wish I was no longer depressed anymore. I'm going to have depressive days. I'm going to have days when I'm feeling low. You got to work with it, and you got to like catch it in the act. What you do is you acknowledge that all the stuff that I said about if you can do something about it, if you can't do something about it, then if you can't do anything about it, then there's no need to be depressed, because you can't do anything about it. You can't change it. If you can't physically change it, then you just don't bother with it. Don't let it consume you. So then you can start being happier, because you feel like you've done everything you can. And that's what your brain's trying to get at. Your brain's trying to think of like, you have to do something about it. Say if like you sent a bunch of builders on the construction site. These builders have got no materials, there's no money, nothing. The mind thinks, right, that you can command these builders to build a 20-story skyscraper out of literally nothing, because your brain's not wired to think properly like that. All the brain requires is you got builders build things. I want a 20-foot skyscraper. The reality of it is this guy's going to ring you up, go, we ain't got no tools, we ain't got no materials, we ain't got no money, you can't do anything. So then you got to realise, oh, alright, well, I have to let you know when I've got the materials and money. It's the same sort of analogy, because you can't build things if you haven't got the tools to build them. So you can't make things happen your way. But if you can't do anything about the situation that you're in, then there's no need to worry about it. Just focus on things you can do. I mean, eventually you just feel like a little bit better, because then you'll kind of know that you've done everything you can, and then the brain's kind of like accepting of that. You go, all right, then fair enough. As much as we can do, that's easy enough. So what you do to get yourself out of your depressive state, when you realise and acknowledge that, you know, you're depressed and whatnot, is do things that are uplifting. Do things that are motivational. Do things that make you achieve goals. For example, I listen to a ton of motivational videos. Now, I know you kind of be like, he's going about motivational videos. But to tell you now, motivational videos are one of the most uplifting and get out the bed sort of things you can listen to. Don't just try listening to one. Try listening to a few. You know, you could just be lying in your bed, feeling depressed, and just have it on in the background. The music itself is uplifting. The message that people say in these are like true and honest. And it's what separates the successful from the failure. If that's not your style, You can always listen to music. Music is a very powerful tool for any type of mental health, but you have to listen to music that makes you feel happy, makes you feel positive emotion. All these negative emotions are shrouded because of just basically running on empty bullets. But if you give it a fresh magazine of happiness, again, you're switching emotion. Depression is more of an emotion rather than an actual mental state. You get into a mental state of depression because that's what it is. So you get in a mental state of happiness. You can't fight depression. Depression's always going to be with you. You have to worry about that. But you're not sheathing it. You're not pushing it away. Last thing you want to do is try to like push your depression away or use tablets and stuff. Happy and uplifting music, motivational videos, learning something new will definitely take your mind off things. Or even if you like gaming, or even if you like reading a book, do something that requires something where you think head on, like you're actually involved in something. For me, I like playing chess and I like playing like computer games and listening to music and motivational videos and working out. That's kind of like what I do to get myself thinking out. But whenever that depression tries to come back, just realize that you've just done this. You've just realized that you have depression. There's nothing you can do about it. So there's no need to keep thinking about it. So just understand that depression is going to be there because it's your mind trying to tell you something. But you're telling your mind now that there's nothing you can do about it, and you can leave it for another day or a day that's more relevant to sort. Then and only then would you be able to lower the gradient in depression. As soon as you start getting in the habit of that mindset, and as soon as you start realizing that's how you control your depression, it becomes second nature. And then as soon as you start feeling depressed, then it automatically you start asking these questions. Even if you have to watch this video to remind you what these questions are. That's mental note of the day. That's how I get out of my depression. I'm not your therapist, right? I'm not like licensed or anything, so don't take it as like, you know, you go to your therapist and they tell you to take like X, Y, and Z, like go to your psychiatrist and they tell you to like fucking search you and you go, no, this guy on the internet's told me that I have to do this. Again, I'm not a trained professional. No, this is literally just what I know to help me. All power to them. It's just a tactic. There's many other tactics out there. You want to look on Google, and there's loads of different people on Google or on YouTube that have different ways of coping with their depression, but that's just how it helps me. So hopefully this helps you as one of the tactics it does. Just don't fight your depression. Just acknowledge it, study it, ponder it, and then wonder if you can do anything about it. If you can't, then don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Leave it for another day. You can be depressed for another day, but right now you gotta do your best thing. You gotta do your best life. That was my mental note of the day. I don't know when this is gonna come out, so I've got a busy day tomorrow and probably the rest of the week, so I'll see you soon, yeah?